Hello, and thank you for coming today. I've been thank you for coming today. So I haven't done a webinar since, or it was probably since March on Workflow 5.0 when it first came out. So we will be I'll be reviewing everything, all the releases we've done. We've done we've done 3 releases since my last webinar. So this is really just for you to go over some of those minor releases we've done since then. Ultimately, 5.0, when it came out, it was a big change in the product. So, obviously we had some adjustments and corrections to be made. So this is these 3 releases address these. And we also added some cool little nifty features in Workflow 5.03 that will, make the product even more usable. One of the big changes we've done in 5.03 is now we added support for Tomcat 9. So if those that know that Tomcat 8 is going to be discontinued in early 2018. So we're getting ready to have Tomcat 9 both in the installer, Windows installer, included right now. The Windows installer still ships with Tomcat 8, but that installer is going to be changing in the next release, in the spring release, to Tomcat 9. But right now, the WAR file, if you're not using the installer, can work fine in workflow in Tomcat 9. Some other changes. This is a change that we've done when we moved to version 5.0. We no longer support third-party FTP servers. So some of our users, I know, have been using this feature quite a bit, and we dropped that. We just there was no way, we couldn't find a safe way to secure connecting to third-party FTP servers, and we couldn't provide any of the advanced file transfer features that we can do with FileCatalyst server. So we had to drop this feature in order to enhance security and provide better functionality. Some of the other changes is that since 5.0 came out, the only FileCatalyst Direct Server 371 or higher is supported. It won't work with older ones. And we dropped our Java applet support in 5.0. So this is kind of these release notes are kind of carry on from 5.0 release. I'm going to be going through some small demos here to show you some of these key new features that we've done. So let me just talk broadly here what we've done. So in May, we added a test connection button to both upload, download, and FileAreas. So if you, for example, let me just log in here, and if you had, let me pick up a tracking number here. Just want to show you this test, how it works. So if you look at the download page, so this is when the recipient picks up the files that were sent to them via email. The end users didn't know exactly what was going on and what was possible. So we added this test connection button now that shows them exactly what protocols are available to them. So you have HTTP, UDP, TCP control, TCP multi-stream. So all of this was added to help the user, provide them feedback with what's possible on their network and what's not blocked, or which protocols are blocked. So this is something that we added to all the file areas, the uploads, and the downloads. So that's one of the sort of the features that we've built. We also added so that was sort of one of the bigger things we added, is the test connection. In 5.02, we had some bug. We had to fix some issues with the download side, especially when the user was clicking just on the HTTP links here to download. It would mark as soon as you clicked on the links, it would mark all files were downloaded versus only one file. So we needed to we fixed that. And for those that are familiar with the APIs, let me just log in here. We've been adding quite a bit of API support for the API on FileCatalyst workflow side. But if you go to Help here and Contents, of the help, you can go into the API here, and you have now examples here that we built in. So if you need to programmatically send files to someone through workflow, we provide you an example here to upload fresh files to workflow and submit it with a given order form. And there's now a new examples here for those that need to submit files from FileAreas. So all you have to do is just this example actually does both. It adds files that are local and as well adds files from FileAreas. And once you select these files, you can send them to someone without uploading. So this was something that we've added these examples in 502. This functionality has been in workflow probably for the last almost 2 years, but it was never properly documented. So now just we put this at the forefront from the help page. So that's on the workflow. So the next release we did, and this is the big one, and really that's why the webinar came on for, was so we did this webinar, is to talk about the 503 release. And 503 release added some bigger changes to how workflow works. So one of the biggest one that we added is that the installer for TransferAgent now comes prepackaged with Java Runtime. So the nice part about this is that when a user is prompted to install the plugin, it doesn't matter if they have Java already installed or not, it will just work. The side effect of that is that the TransferAgent installer, instead of being 22 megs, is now 68 megs. So it makes the installer of the TransferAgent a bit bigger because the Java is prepackaged, but at the same time, it guarantees that it will always work. The install of the TransferAgent will work. I can show you here, perhaps I can show you here how the installation process looks like. So let me just go here, and I'm going to shut down my TransferAgent. So when the user first logs in to send files, now the setup is very similar to what it was before, where you can still type in your recipient. You can select from address book who you want to send. Here, put some subject line. And in this here option, I selected enhanced security options, where the sender can choose what kind of protection they want on the download side. Once again, this is not a new feature. It's been there for years, but just for those that are perhaps not familiar with all the different download options. So you have the ability to send just a regular email link, no password, nothing. You can protect the download with a PIN. A PIN is automatically generated password that gets sent to the sender. Password is something that doesn't get automatically sent, and the sender has to type in the password, and then we have the email authentication. So the system generates a PIN and sends a separate email to the recipient, and that PIN is only valid for 15 minutes to enter and download the files. So this provides like a robust authentication for the sender. But just I want to maybe show you this here. So as you can see, TransferAgent now loads automatically if it's there. If it's not, it gives a nice prompt to install. The installer that comes with it doesn't rely on Java anymore, which makes everything much more easier for end users. What here that we changed is actually, if you look at through my release notes here, we made changes to how the upload interface looks like once the files are uploaded. So here's my test connection again. I showed you some download. You can see it here now. And now I'm going to just select a few files here. And you can see everything is hidden now except for the upload queue. And in a minute, I'll see here, in a second, I'll see a progress bar. And this progress bar tells me exactly where the progress are of the upload. If the TransferAgent is used, of course, the user can close the web browser and the job still gets submitted. So that's on the sending side. On the receiving side now, let me show you what we did here. So here's the email that I just sent myself. I'll just have to do is just click on this file, on this link, and here's the example of the advanced email authentication. So as you can see, the recipient got the email, clicked on the link, but they are not able to access the download because now the authentication code has to be received by me, and then I can get to the file. So if I do get messages again, here's the authentication code, and now I have to copy and paste this authentication code. This code is only valid for 10 minutes. So even if I forwarded this email to someone, it only works for 10 minutes, and then I have to redo this whole thing. So there's a lot of this email authentication. We've had it for years, but the big advantage here is that it prevents the recipients from forwarding the email to a whole bunch of other recipients to download the files, because they need that authentication code with it that is only valid for a limited amount of time. And it also certifies that the recipient must have access to their email inbox to get to the files. So as you can see here, the download files again. So if I click, for example, here, I can watch a little video preview of these files, because these are video files. The preview only works on video files. It doesn't work with any other formats, but it gives you an idea what it is. And now I can click on download all and download the files with TransferAgent. So that's on the on the sending side. So the next thing that I wanted to show you here, so this is finished here, and the next feature I wanted to show you is the ability of filtering ability. So once you log in as super administrator to your workflow, let me show you how you can set up filters. So right now, I'm gonna create a group here, and I have several groups here. So let me, for example, so what the way the filtering is built in based on the IP address of the sender, or based on the group. So let me go to filter settings. I'm going to go into full users, and here's an example of my filter. So anybody that is in a group example can send files to FileCatalyst.demo. Anybody that is on localhost can send anywhere. So based on IP addresses, you can then select, if someone is local, that you can either allow them to send files from anywhere in the world, or if they are coming from a remote or intranet segment, they are only allowed to send to, let's say, @yourcompany.com, or you can also assign it based on group. So in this case, and then you put the last filter group is to deny all to all, because as soon as there is a rule that matches, it gets picked up, and then no other rules are get sent. So here you can now specify, another IP address, or you can say, or you can select a group to that you want to add a filter for, and then you can prioritize this. Once again, the filter settings have been there for years. What was changed is that now your ability to do it based on a group and based on an IP address, which was already there. So that's on the that's something that we changed here. Another thing that we've added in Workflow 503, which we had in Workflow 4.9 and 4.x versions, is ability to do file properties. So when you look at your job data fields, you can create as many fields as you want, and you can populate them into upload forms. With those that are familiar with those, it's each field can be added, and then you can make upload form and create your own custom upload portal. But now we added the concept that you can create something called a file form. So a file form allows you to set properties per file. So if I upload 5 files, I can set a property for these on a file basis. So as you can see here, I added these 2 I have a text field and a drop down, and I set here number of fields per row to 2, so I'm going to get a file name and this information on the right. So this is useful for those that need to receive files and you need to set the properties. So let me show you how this would look like. So if you go to drop down here, so this is my main order form. I'm just showing you an example here. We have also a help text here and a question mark that you can click on and see some more information. This was also added in 5.03. Once again, this was in 4.9. We added it back in 5.0 now. So now I'm going to go to upload files. This launches my familiar upload interface. I'm just going to switch here to basic uploader to kind of show you how this looks like. This is nothing new. This has been in our products for a long time, but just wanted to show you another way that users can upload. This version doesn't require plugins or Java. It works out of the box. And now I'm in this new option here where I can say I can now specify properties per file uploaded here. And I can say something like choice 2, and I can, for example, do apply to all, or if I want to have a choice 3 here, I can apply this to different options here for per file upload. You can also duplicate a file and set a different property for this file, for example. This one could go to choice 1. So this is nice for those that are, let's say, doing a lot of upload like ingests with workflow, where end users have a portal and they upload files, and then you pick up these files and want to do something with them, and you want the users to specify properties for each file, what to do. For example, it could be, if in case of a video, it could specify, what to do with these files next. So you can have, the main order form, and then you can have this per file properties as well. Once again, this is not new. It's been there in 4.9.9. We just added it back in 5.0, and now this sends a file. So if I want to look at here these properties, you can see them from the view. It will show you all the information for each file that was added, as well as all the information added on the main form. So this is something that was added back in 5.0, and you can do this as well with this version. Some of the other features that we've added is for those that are on corporate networks and use the old Internet Explorer. Very often, larger corporations will set up Internet Explorer to be, let's say, running in compatibility mode to IE7. Why? Because they probably have a lot of older web applications that don't support the latest HTML5. So this XUA compatible meta tag tells IE, by the way, you have to use the latest IE version for compatibility. So even if those browsers are set for older versions, will see this tag and behave properly. So this is really more for our corporate users, not really our home users that are usually on the latest web browser. For those that are using REST API for creating users or for managing jobs, the REST API was updated to Jersey 2. All it means is really that it's just more flexible. There's more flexibility for calling your REST calls. It follows the latest RESTful standards. So if you are using REST, I recommend that you test in 5.03 the RESTful API, because the calls may have slightly changed. Once again, we did this to bring it up to the today's standard of what RESTful APIs, how RESTful APIs should behave. So this feature here is for those that actually did upgrade in 4.9.9 to TransferAgent, and where you've been using TransferAgent in the field. TransferAgent ships with an SSL certificate, and if that SSL certificate, if you haven't upgraded workflow in a while, that SSL certificate that ships with TA that is packaged in workflow will eventually expire. So now if you upgrade to this new version with this new TA will be able to say, oh, this SSL, the SSL is expired, and will show a proper error messaging to the end user asking them to upgrade. The older versions would kind of just sit there and spin endlessly and not show anything. So this fix was incorporated to make this easier for the end users to upgrade and to notify them. So I mean, I'm not going to go through all the other features. Another one for those that if you're upgrading to workflow 503, and you'll notice that our Ldap Active Directory over SSL is changed. We had to do this because Java 8, the latest release of Java 8, changed how SSL certificates are managed. So now, so if you go to your Active Directory settings here, before, what you could do here, you could specify the path to your certificate file, and as long as your certificate was in the right format, it would just work. Well, Java made this a lot harder in Java 8. So now you cannot specify an arbitrary path to your SSL certificate, but rather you have to always be pointing to the certificate with the Java that ships with it. So this is the path of the CA certs file, or the main key store file for the Java runtime that we're using in this case. So you will have to import that certificate into this path instead of using your arbitrary path that you had before. So when you upgrade, make sure that you have the certificate at hand, import it into the default location of your Java, and it will work. Actually, if you click here, I think we give you the step-by-step instructions what to do. But that's something that you'll have to be careful when you're upgrading and you're using Ldap over SSL. You'll have to make sure that the certificate gets imported in the right path now. And once again, it is a complication, but it's not our fault. It's just the way that Java handles certificates now. We had to do it this way. And the rest is pretty much just some small fixes and tweaks. I'm not going to go through them all here, but that's all for me for this webinar. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoy our products, and stand by for new webinars.